Hi Ryan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ryan.
So, you've come for your CBT. Have you had CBTs before? Do you know anything about it?
No, not really. No, not really.
Well, what we'll do is, this first session, it's really just getting to know each other and setting the scene. The therapy proper starts next week.
Okay.
But what we'll do is we'll meet each week at the same time, and each week we'll tackle a different topic, a different part of your problems. But today what I want to do is tell you a little bit about what you can expect from CBT, how it's going to work for you, and hear what problems have brought you here, what you've been experiencing and things. And then we'll just have a very preliminary idea about fitting you into the CBT model and explaining how that's going to help with the problems you're having.
Okay.
That sound okay?
Mm-hmm. Sounds fine. Yep.
Okay, well, one of the things about CBT is that it's not like other therapies. Before CBT came around, all therapies were more or less just supportive talking.
Okay.
You know, you may have an idea from films and things, people lying on a couch talking to a therapist and the therapist sitting nodding sagely and things. CBT is not like that. CBT is very much something we do together.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've got some expertise on CBT, psychology and things, but I'm not an expert in you. You're the expert in you. So we need to share our expertise and work together.
Okay.
And together we've got enough information to solve the problems you've been having.
Mm-hmm.
CBT is a more scientific form of therapy. Nothing gets in to become part of CBT without being rigorously tested over and over and over again and researched. So we know that CBT works, and that's how I can be confident that we're going to be able to help with the problems that you've been having.
Okay.
One of the things I tell you is about confidentiality, just in case you're worried about who hears, who gets to know what's said in here. Nobody gets to hear anything that's said in these sessions except for one circumstances, and that is if I feel that what you're talking about is you're a danger to somebody, you're a danger to yourself or other people.
Okay.
Then I'm obliged to pass that on to your psychiatrist or your GP or whoever.
That makes sense.
The other person that might hear that I'll discuss it with, but anonymously, is my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
If that's my supervisor, if I have problems, if I had issues with it and wanted advice, but that's done anonymously. But I might talk about what we've been talking about.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
So, we'll just we're going to move on now, and I'd like to hear you, just from your own words, telling me what sort of problems you've been having, what's brought you to therapy, and I'll make some notes while we're doing that.
Okay. I was kind of sent here partly by my wife, but I see why she sent me. I think things kind of came to a head about 2 months ago now. Working in a meat processing factory, and it's been doing that for about 3 years now. It's all right. It's not exactly what I want to do, but it's okay. Usually I get on with most people. I'm worked in a whole bunch of different places. No bother, It's just this one guy who I could put with him maybe 6 months ago. He was my line manager, and he's a total tool. He's just a complete idiot. Cannot stand the guy, and he's got all kind of issues going on. But he'd like, he'd speak to me in a way that I just don't take, and speak to others as well in a way that it's just not all right. But he's somehow in with the plant manager. So I think he's his pal or something. So it's just a total nightmare. And
when you say he speaks to you in a way you don't handle, is that disrespectfully?
Oh yeah.
So can you tell me a bit more about that?
Just, like, he would come in and he'd be like he would think he was a wee dictator, So we'd all be doing you obviously get different tasks for different points in the day where you've got I work on the sort of butchery side. So once the meat's once the cattle was ready for sort of processing that, I'm cutting off various bits of meat and stuff. But he would come in and he would basically try to tell me how to do my job, and it's like, I know how to do my job. I know what I'm doing, and just like being really kind of disparaging and just saying stuff that just wasn't.
And how does that make you feel at the time?
Going to punch him in the face.
So
pretty much, yeah.
Just feel angry.
Aye, yeah, just completely. Yeah, but also just totally rattled by it. So I would go home at night and I just couldn't put it to one side. Do you know what I mean? It would just be going around my head, and I'd be, like a cat in a hot plate sort of thing. But then eventually, what happened was we'd had kind of like arguments, a wee bit now and again. But he started on me one day, and I think it was after a bad weekend, and I was just like, I'm not having this anymore, and just started having a go back at him. But then it just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
What was the bad weekend? What you said it was after a bad weekend. Was that to do with work as well, or was that separate things?
No, that wasn't to do with work. I was just tired. I was just coming back, and I was back in for the weekend, and I was tired. We've got a wee boy who's 3 now. I sort of started working in this place, just about the same time that we had him. But it was, what was I saying at the weekend? Yeah, so, just really tired looking after him and making sure that he was all right. And you know what it's like when you have tiny wee kids, it's just really difficult.
You have sleepless nights with him.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
So, when he had a go at you, you think you were reacting more than you would normally react because you were tired and things?
I think I probably couldn't hold it together as much as I would have.
Right.
But I wanted to, but I mean, it was his attitude that just had enough. But then, so I actually, by the end of it, it was getting to sort of like physical threats. It was getting proper serious.
From him or from you?
From both.
Right.
From both. And I was just.
That's never a good thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not great. No, it's not great. So
how was that resolved?
I mean, it was physical threats, but I'm not stupid. I don't think he's stupid either. So he's nothing's really going to happen. Nothing really was ever going to come of it. So I phoned up it's my pal who's the his manager sort of thing, and my manager as well. So I phoned to her and I was like, look, I'm taking the afternoon off. I'm not feeling great. Went home, but I've basically not been back to work since. So when I went home, I just had this total, like, I don't know what it was. It was like total shaking and stuff, and just hyperventilating a whole bit. Some sort of panic thing.
It sounds like anxiety.
Yeah.
What we know about anxiety is that it comes when you're perceiving some threat, some danger. You're thinking something bad's going to happen. You're predicting something might happen. What were you predicting might happen at that time? What would explain you feeling anxious?
I mean, just the whole thing. Just the whole.
What's the worst that could have happened?
At that point.
Yeah. That was on your mind.
That's on my mind. Or just all the stuff about, I really just didn't want to go back to work. I just was like, I did not want to go back to that place.
What would happen if you did? What was the fear that would happen if you did go back?
If I did go back at that point, I couldn't have gone back. It just was like, there's no way I can go back there. It's just.
Yeah. When we don't want to do something like that, we call it negative rehearsal. You're rehearsing, if I go back, he's going to have a go at me, I'm going to get aggressive, it's going to be this, it's going to be that.
Yeah.
What was the
I was just thinking that he's going to be aggressive again, and then it's just going to keep going. It's just going to, it's just going to keep going.
And was the fear that you'd end up hitting him, or he'd end up hitting you, or you'd get the sack, or what was the fear?
Probably more the sack, because I think I mean I can handle myself, but I'm also not an idiot, so I wouldn't if he was to try to attack me, it wouldn't really, he wouldn't get very far, put it that way. But I mean sometimes I do kind of think, am I going to lose it,
Has that been a problem for you in the past? Is that something that's caused you problems in the past, your temper?
A wee bit, but not. I mean, like, I don't let people take advantage of me. I definitely won't let people do that.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? How might people take advantage of you?
It's like you meet idiots who are just it's like 1% of people who are most people are fine, but you meet 1% of people who are just for whatever reason they got screw loose or something. They're just kind of out to cause you trouble. And it's always me they seem to come for as well. I don't know why. It's not just me, but they'll see me coming, and just put things in your way. Just put barriers in your way, or and
So you feel that in general people see you as some kind of easy target, or
something
don't
like that.
like you, or
It's just something in my face. I don't know what it is.
but you think there's definitely something about you that people react negatively
It
to?
seems to be, because there's always somebody who's just been a total pain, and but this guy, I mean, normally I can deal with people, but this guy was something else. This guy was just completely, just
Can you give me an example of something you said or done?
Actually, this wasn't to me. It was to one of the other guys. So obviously, I mean, we all know what we're doing. We've all been there for a long time, and we're all working in the factory where guys are obviously doing their best, cutting up mistakes, cutting up the getting rid of all the kind of extra bits that go in the bin, and he would come in and he would just pick up one of the guys who I work with. He just one day came in, looked at the stuff that he was doing, and he was like just just swearing at him and being like oh you're a effing this and an effing that, what do you think that is, do you think that's acceptable, and just but the guy David,
he doesn't know how to manage people properly.
he's just a tool, but the guy David, he knows what he's doing, do you know what I mean? But he was just humiliating him in front of, and he was doing it on purpose because he's trying to like send a message to everybody, do you know what I mean? There's like
What's the message he's trying to send?
There's like 6 of us in that room, do you know what I mean? He wants us to all know that he's the big boss guy, and he can kind of come in and strut his stuff and do what he wants, basically.
Is he the big boss guy that can come in and do what he wants?
He's a line manager.
So he is the boss.
Aye.
So
Yeah. I don't know why it's because he's never worked in the factory himself, and he's came in from I don't know where. I think he knows the guy who's in charge of the place.
Right. So you've got difficulties there with your work and the relationships with your line manager now. Is there anything else that's problematic for you?
Well, I've not been back since then. That was nearly 2 months ago now.
Right.
So now, I'm looking for other things. I'll go somewhere else, I think, but I don't know what. I'm looking around. I'd quite like to work for the Forestry Commission.
Right.
Something like that, but I don't know.
Have you ever worked anywhere else?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I do a lot of like outdoors stuff. I do a lot of kind of mountain biking, and just always been into that kind of thing. So I was like an outdoors instructor for years and years.
And did you have any similar problems there?
See, you always meet somebody, you know, who's nothing like this guy, you know, just people who are trying to tell you what to do. Bit of a pain, but.
And is that something that you have trouble with, people telling you what to do?
Yeah, I really don't like that. Yeah. I think I've always like in a lot of places I've kind of been my own boss or been my own, you know, kind of guy in charge of stuff. So, you know, it's like I've worked in different like kind of either outdoor activity centres or, you know, teaching people snowboarding in France and this kind of thing. But it's kind of jobs where you can kind of go and do, you know, I mean, you've obviously got to you know, make the client happy, but you don't, and nobody's on your back. Do you know what I mean? As long as you're, you know.
I'm getting a picture here that you're somebody who's got a bit of an issue. Would it be right to say that you don't like people telling you what to do? It makes you feel bad in some way.
Yeah.
You don't like bosses, basically.
Probably, yeah, probably. I've always been a bit like that.
What do you feel when people tell you what to do? If they're a wee bit derogatory and not as respectful as they should be?
Just like I don't speak to people in a way that's not respectful. Like, you know, I've had people working with me, working under me, and I don't get why somebody has to come in and just like be a tool, you know. And it's like, what are you, you know? Yeah, people who just think that they're better than other people, you know, I can't think. It's just.
Right, so people think, if you get the impression that people think they're better than you, you just want to hit them.
Pretty much, aye. Yeah.
What if they are better than you?
I hadn't thought that. Everyone's the same, but do you know what I mean? So everyone's essentially the same.
Yeah, we all treat each other with respect, or should treat each other with respect and things, but what if they're better at the job, know more about it, or a senior position?
I know, if somebody knows what they're doing, then, you know, and they'll come and tell you. Yeah, I mean, whenever I was learning how to start the job and stuff, you know, it was actually David who taught me how to do all the butchering and stuff. But he's a nice guy, do you know? He's, you know, and quite happily, you know. Obviously, I don't know anything about that, or didn't know anything about that stuff then. So he taught me, and it was fine, you know.
So it's fine if people are respectful and are nice and pleasant, but if somebody's a bit officious, a bit bossy and stuff, that gets your back up.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Right. So. Is this spilled over into the rest of your life? Does it cause you problems at home or with any other issues?
I think I've never been a great sleeper. You know, for years I've been a really crap sleeper. But the past 6 months I've just been, you know, whenever I've been working with this guy, I'm not working with him now, obviously, because I'm off. But still, just, you know.
Are you thinking about it a lot? Worrying about it?
It's just going through my head. Yeah.
Ruminating about it then?
What do you mean?
Imagining it, nice scenarios in your head.
Yeah, just try to lie in bed, and the problem is, like I said, because I'm up anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'll be lying there, try to get sleep, and I'm not a good sleeper. I can. Also, I smoke a reasonable amount of dope as well. I should probably tell you that. Right? And that helps me get to sleep. But the other night, I actually forgot. By the time I got to bed, it was too late. It was a really bad night. Just all kind of things going through my head. And then the wee man's up. Do you know what I mean? He's in the middle of the night because he's still pretty wee. You know, he'll wander through, and then I'm like, oh, I've not even been asleep yet. And you know.
So it's affecting your sleep.
Aye.
It's affecting you. Trying to self-medicate on dope. It sounds like you're taking it to help you sleep.
I've taken that since I was about 15.
Right.
You know, I've taken it for years. You know.
Have you noticed any downside with that? Is there a cost?
It costs you money, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really know, to be honest. That's okay.
You take it every day?
probably every day for about 20 years, probably.
Right.
Yeah, nothing else. But I've never done anything else. I've never been, into.
So if you do without it, if you don't have any, say you can't afford it or you can't access it at that time, what problems does it cause you? How would you be?
I mean, I've got tons of mates who can supply it for me, so it's really an issue of getting a hold of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you couldn't get it,
If I couldn't get it,
or if you wanted to give it up,
yeah, it's a bit like smoking. I think where you've got the kind of downsides where you do get the kind if you can't find any, or if you're somewhere and you can't smoke, it's got that kind of downside to it. But it's got more upsides.
So do you feel that you need it to feel normal?
No, I think I'm normal. I think I'm fairly.
I don't mean you're not normal. I mean, you need you're going to be anxious without it, or how would you be without it?
Do you know what? I genuinely don't know.
Right.
I think because it's been so long.
I suspect you'd feel irritable and anxious, and because if we take dope every day like that, I mean, there's lots of evidence that people have taken it for years and years and years at a party or recreationally, and it is relatively harmless. But taken every day, what we do know is that it does affect, and people your brain gets used to having it, and without it, you start to feel anxious, irritable, on edge, and you need the dope just to feel normal, just to feel comfortable. And one of the problems with that is the longer you're on it, the more likely it is to affect your mood and make people feel unmotivated, and they can feel lethargic, they can go into depression, they can go into just can't be bothered with anything. Have you got any of that yet?
No, see, it's the opposite. For me, I can't sit still. So even whenever me and my wife are like watching TV, it's always been the case. Whenever we're like watching TV tonight, like I'll stand up to watch it, and I'll be like, I've got like one of these balance boards, like if you go for physio that they can tell you go for. I'm going and like I'll just stand on that and kind of balance on it because I can't, And sometimes I was sit in the house and I've just got to go out and like chop wood and stuff, just for something to get my mind focused.
You don't feel depressed at all. You don't feel lethargic at all. Unmotivated.
No, it's not. I'm not lethargic. I'm the opposite. I'm just wired all the time.
So that's not a problem for you. It's not something you want to deal with.
No. Well, no, I don't. I want to deal with the fact that I can't sit still.
Yeah.
But I think it don't helps that.
We'll look into that. We'll look at that.
Oh.
And I've got quite a few. I'm getting a picture here of the things that are affecting you.
Okay.
Can you explain to me exactly how you feel? You said you felt a bit panicked. What does that feel like in your body? Where do you feel that panic? Physically?
Like up, even just thinking about it now, I can feel myself doing that. Do you know what I mean? I can feel it up here. Yeah, it's just like, and my teeth as well.
And you get sweaty or heartbeat?
Well, when that thing happened, and it was when I just came home and I lost it, it was like, it was all like breathing stuff.
Right.
It was all really, really tight. Yeah.
Is this affecting your relationship with your wife at all?
I think she's worried about me because she's the one who,
Right.
she's a mental health nurse.
Right.
She's always had this idea that I've not dealt with the death of my dad. So I think she thinks this is something to do with it as well. She's got the idea that this is and she might be right.
Do you want to tell me a wee bit about your dad?
Yeah, I mean it was. Yeah, so we're what age was I? 22 when he died, something like that. I think it was. Yeah. I mean, we were kind of close, but we still kind of fought. Do you know what I mean? Occasionally we'd actually fight. you know, when I was younger, maybe about
Physically?
yeah, but not that close to it when he died. You know, like I said, I was 22, so maybe when I was 15 or something. You know, 15 or 16, we'd occasionally just come to blows, but we're still pretty close. But it was literally just all of a sudden he just dropped dead.
And how did that affect you?
Well, like now I still have weird dreams about it. So it's still like, yeah, this is why at night, quite often I'll have like 2 or 3 splits before I go to bed. Because at night, I've got like, the thoughts run in my head, but then when I do get to sleep, I don't know, I just, and 3 weeks later, 2 weeks after when he died, his dad died. So my granddad. Yeah. So.
And
I don't know.
did you grieve at that time? Were you upset? Were you sharing your grief with your family, talking about them? And are you comfortable talking about your father and your grandfather's death? And or is it
Am I comfortable?
Is it something you try not to talk about? Or
I don't know. It's not something that comes up all the time. My wife didn't know me at the time. She met me years later. She thought it was a big deal. I don't know, you know, at the time. But then, like, my mum's health never been great, so my dad always kind of looked after her. So I think after it, a lot of it was just dealing with the house and, you know, that kind of stuff. Because the house they were in was just, you know, it was just. I mean, you couldn't sell it in the way it was, and I was like, right. So here we go now. At the time, I was doing a bit of a stint in France, and just try, you know, phone up and get folks to fix all the stuff and plastering, and those problems with the doors. The doors all were. Turns out that the way that the lintel had been put in the top of the doors was all weird. So, you know, getting folks in to look at that, and it was just so all of that was just focusing up.
Practical problems, and that put pressure on you?
Probably, no, definitely did, yeah. Because I'm trying to deal with this from, you know, back in the beyond.
Is your mum still around?
Yeah, she is, yeah.
And do you occasionally talk about your dad, or?
Yeah, I mean, not all the time, but, you know, I'll talk about it sometimes.
And do you feel upset when you talk about him?
Don't know. I mean,
do you feel there's unresolved issues there that?
Well, like I said, that, you know,
you're saying that your wife
Maria,
thinks
she
that.
does, you know. I'm
What do you think?
I'm still dreaming about it.
Right.
I'm not like going around every day, you know, going, oh, my dad's dead. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you just get on with things, but at night I've got to make sure that I've had a few to keep me just in my head.
What's the theme of your dreams? Is it the same dream all the time, or is it different dreams? Or
there's other people who have like died as well. It just seems as if it's one of the things that happens in my family or folks around me, you know, pals and stuff as well. And so I'm if I have dreams at night, it's always I'm talking to somebody who's died.
Right. And what's the atmosphere of it, the flavour of it? Is it a scary dream? Is it a anxious dream? Is it a happy dream? Is it a communicating in a nice way or threatening way? Or what's the flavour of the atmosphere of the dream?
I think they're trying to tell me something, but I don't know what it is. I always wake up feeling weird. I always feel like it's just horrible at the end of it.
Can you tell me what weird is? Describe a wee bit more to me.
You know that way whenever you wake up and you can't quite shake it. You can't quite shake what's been happening to you during the night. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, I would rather not have gone there.
So it's unpleasant?
Aye. Yeah, definitely, yeah. That's unpleasant.
And does it feel like, is there another emotion attached to it? Anxiety or fear or anger or remorse or grief or?
Don't know.
Don't know.
No.
Well, we've got time to look into it and see.
Yeah. Just unsettling, just kind of.
Do you know what makes your wife think? Is it just the dreams that make your wife think that it's still an issue for you, or does she say anything else?
It's the dreams. I think she thinks that my kind of edginess. I think she thinks that that's something to do with it.
Right.
So the fact that
By edginess, you mean anxiously, irritable.
all that, yeah. I'm not really irritable with her, but the fact that just want to move around a lot and want to, I guess, hit this guy.
You spoke about you feel a bit angry and irritable when people are bossy, when they're disrespectful to you. Does that come up in other scenarios? If you're down the pub with your mates, if you're at football or something and somebody's disrespectful, do you get the same feeling? Is that?
I don't really go to the football. I stay in quite a small town, so everybody kind of knows me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing where it doesn't really come up because it's only really ever been, I think, in work situations like that, or maybe with clients occasionally, because like I say, before this job I've dealt with people all kind of different,
And it's the disrespectful that pushes your buttons.
Yeah, probably. So the folks who I've always enjoyed taking out on adventure trips and stuff for the folk. I've done quite a lot with working with school groups and stuff. Obviously, if you work at adventure centres, you do that kind of thing, which is fine. But I remember doing a bit of heli skiing with a bunch of folks, and I stuck at that for about a week. It was whenever I was teaching snowboarding. One of the guys over there was like, "Do you want to come with us, and you can, sort of be a kind of guide in the backcountry." And just the guys who you were taking were just dicks. So it was, saying, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm alright."
So they were not respectful to you, didn't appreciate you, and
not just me, but anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, arrogant.
I just thought they owned the place.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and that pushes your buttons.
probably, yeah. Aye. I'm never like that. I've never liked people who are look down on other people. I'm
picking up on that, and in CBT we call that a hot cognition. It's any thought or situation or emotion that brings up a reaction and pushes your buttons. And in CBT it's very important that we recognise these, because they act like great big arrows pointing to where the problem is, saying there's an issue here.
Right.
If you're reacting to these things in a bad way, and lots of people will react because nobody likes being put down, or some arrogant sod that thinks he owns the world and you as well. But it sounds like it's regularly been a problem to you. You've got more of a reaction than the average person. So that tells us that there's something happened to you to build up that reaction. So you're not just reacting to the scenario as it is in the here and now. It's a combination. It's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. You've had lots of issues in the past that have built up this. So that's one of the things that we'll want to explore and see where's that's coming from, and see if we can understand that.
Okay.
So I've got a picture now, and what I'd like to do is just get you to fill in a couple of forms. One in anxiety and one in depression.
Okay.
And this just measures how anxious or depressed you are, so that we can have something to measure at the end. Because I said CBT is a scientific process. We want to measure it now and measure it at the end, and see how much progress we've made, and get evidence for that. But these questions also point us in the direction of what issues are issues for you, the common issues that come up. So I'd give him the forms to fill in and get him to fill in the forms. And while he's doing that, I'd be looking at my notes and forming a CBT diagnosis. So thanks for these forms. I've been thinking about what you've been saying to me while you were doing that, and I'd like to explain to you just a little bit about CBT now.
Okay.
CBT looks at everybody's problems in what we call 3 systems. Every problem's got 3 aspects to it. It's got how you think in the situation, what's going through your mind. So that's thoughts, images, memories, anything like that that's in your mind. It's got how you feel when you're feeling irritable, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling upset, whatever. And also in your body, physiology. You're feeling tense in your shoulders, you said you felt it, and a bit sweaty and hyped up, tense. And the third part of it is what you do in the scenario. And what we're really looking for is how you avoid that scenario. Now you said the main problem that brought you here was not being at work, and you've avoided it just by literally taking yourself out of the situation. You went home and you haven't gone back. So that's, and what we'll look at is avoidance as and there's obvious avoidance like that, and there's subtle avoidance as well. And we'll teach you about those so that you recognise them, because the more you avoid something, the more it stays a problem. If you deal with problems that come up, and like if you'd gone into work the next day, and there's a number of ways you could have dealt with it. You could have gone in and said to the guy himself, if you thought it was worthwhile doing, you could have said to him, right, let's have this out, I'm pissed off with you because you don't treat me respectfully, you're cheeky and nasty to my mates in the place, you don't seem to recognise our worth and recognise our skills and that we've been here a long time and know what we're doing, and it's causing a problem for us, so I want to have it out with you and sort it out. And he might have been amenable to that, he might not have been. Sounds like he might not have been, but it's one thing you could have tried.
Mm-hmm.
If that didn't work, you could have gone to the trade union or put in a complaint about him, or gone to the boss that you said you know and said, look, we're having real problems, not just me, but we're all having problems with this guy. He's coming in and trying to tell us what to do, and not in a proper civil way. But he's making everybody feel bad. He's changing the atmosphere in the place. I used to enjoy working here, and it's been really unpleasant since this guy came because he's not nice to us. So, and if you'd done one of those things 2 months ago, it would probably be resolved by now, in one way or another. But the fact that you avoid it maintains the problem. It keeps it there. Nothing's happening about it. And that's a strong message for CBT. Avoidance is never a good thing. Facing your fears and confronting your problems and doing something about it. And what we'll be doing is we'll be looking into the options and problem solving and assertiveness and how to deal with these things. Is that something you'd be interested in?
I don't think I'm going back there.
That's fine. You know, but in general, we'll deal with avoidance and deal with helping you see why you avoid it and why avoidance isn't a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this idea of, learn how you think about an issue, what you think. And there's things that we call thinking errors, or common mistakes that people make in their thinking, like predicting the future negatively is a common one.
She's always talking about that. Wife, she's always saying stuff about that. I don't know what it is, but she's always talking about that.
Well, it means that you're imagining, if I go back to work, this guy's going to have a go at me, and I'm going to get into a fight with him, or lose my job, or it's going to be something bad's going to happen. That's predicting the future negatively. And you'd look for how much evidence is there for that, and how much evidence is for a mate that's the boss might think, oh, I've made a mistake taking this guy on, or I'm going to have to pull him into line and tell him to try speaking to people a bit more properly. There's other what we call thinking errors, and I think one that you probably have is mind reading. You probably imagine what this guy thinks of you and is thinking about you, and he just has to be there. looking in your direction, and what would you be thinking?
I just hate him.
Yeah.
I just can't stand the way he looks at me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel that he's judging you?
Oh, aye. Yeah.
And you never imagine him thinking good things. You never imagine thinking, oh, he really knows what he's doing, he's making a good job there.
That's true.
You imagine critically. And this brings us to an important aspect of CBT, is that feelings will always reflect your thoughts. If you think he's been critical of you, then you'll feel resentment.
Mm-hmm.
If you think he's admiring the way I'm cutting up this bit of meat, you'll not feel resentment, you'll feel comfortable, you'll feel appreciated.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a connection between how you think and how you feel. And what CBT will do for you is it'll help you look into these things and look at your thoughts and say, are these thoughts helpful to me? Are these thoughts accurate? And if you can address the thoughts that are not accurate, not helpful, are getting in the way, and see that there's two sides to everything, see a more balanced, constructive view of your future, of the boss, of whatever the situation is. Because I imagine that this chap, I don't doubt that he's a bit arrogant, a bit lacking skills, lacking communication skills and how to talk to people and things. I mean, especially if everybody's feeling this way about him. But have you ever thought why he's like this?
I think he's got his own issues. I mean, he's a bit off the wall, I think. Do you know what I mean? He's got a bit of a reputation. He's been a bit of a drinker, and he thinks he's a bit of a hard man. So yeah.
But if you think of him like that, how does it make you feel towards him? He thinks he's a hard man. He thinks he's
better than everyone.
Yeah, but how does that make you feel?
Annoyed. Aye.
Can you think of any other reason why he might be like that? Another possibility that he puts on this front of being, I'm a hard man. Why would you put on a front, I'm a hard man? If you have to do that, what does it really say about
Aye,
you?
there's people who put it on, but it's just because they know that if it ever came to it, they couldn't handle themselves. So I think he's probably one of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think he's probably one of them.
So he's a bit insecure. He knows he doesn't know the job like all of you, but he's the boss.
Yeah, it's not even that.
He's got to reinforce his authority and things. He's scared.
I just don't even think that he could handle himself. Do you know what I mean? If somebody's acting hard, and you know they are actually hard, fair enough. It's when you get somebody in who's like, do you know what I mean? He just can't. Yeah, he's a bit like that.
So, why would he be like that?
Because he can't handle it.
Yeah. So if you think of him as somebody who can't handle it, who's worried about what his job, being in charge of all these guys that know the job better than he does, that are all a bit assertive and telling him what to do, he's worried. If you think of him as somebody that's worried about and insecure in his position, so he puts on this front, I'm a hard man, don't mess with me, I put you down, I'm in charge. Because somebody that's really confident and respects people and is comfortable in their shoes wouldn't be like that, would they?
No, that's true, yeah.
So when you thought of him as the arrogant, pretending to be a hard man guy that was putting you down, that made you feel irritable and angry towards him and thinking about fights with him and things.
Yeah.
If you think of him as this insecure guy that's got a job that he's worried about everybody knowing the job better than he does, but he's supposed to be in charge and trying to cover it up, what kind of feelings does that bring on?
I don't know. He's still a tool. Do you know what I mean? He's still, it's like just say you don't know.
Yeah.
Just say you don't know it.
Confidence to do that, has he?
No, it doesn't seem that way,
Yeah.
Just say, I don't know what I'm doing, can you guys show me? That's all I need. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
It's not difficult, but you just can't do it.
Why do you think you can't do it? What's his fear? What does he fear would happen if he did that?
You get shown up,
Yeah.
you know. You get shown up.
So, can you see that if you change your thinking about him, it changes the way you feel about him?
Yeah. I still don't like him.
No.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna. Yeah. Yes, I just understand more about why he's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not personally anything personal against you, is it?
No, it's everyone.
Yeah. And it's not even personal against everyone. It's about his own insecurities.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It says more about him than it does about anybody else.
Aye, that's definitely what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who is there. He's always like that.
Yeah. So you can see how the thoughts affect the feelings. And the behaviour of avoiding, leaving, not going back. How do you think he feels about that?
Don't know.
Do you think he's glad you didn't come back and glad you went off somewhere?
Genuinely, I think he's probably afraid of me. So he is probably glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he knows I'm the one who'll stand up to him.
But he's chased you
Oh, when you put it like that, I guess I've lost, haven't I?
out. Yeah, say that again.
I've lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't have to have lost.
How?
Well, what we can do is we can look at how a sensible way of confronting this situation and dealing with it, not in a violent way, not in an aggressive way, but a way that resolves the issue for everybody. That's a possibility. I'm not saying you should do it, but I'm saying you should consider it and have a choice, feel like you have a choice, and make a choice based on thoughtful, rational reasoning, because it sounds like you quite enjoyed this job until the guy came along.
It's all right. It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's the folks who you work with, and you know, they're with us a laugh. And, you know, it was all right.
So that's one of the things we'll look at, and it's this 3 domains: the thoughts, feelings, and behaviours that I want you to think about.
Okay.
And the other aspect of CBT is that it's not something I do to you. It's not something that we do here together and once a week. It's something that's ongoing. So what will happen is each week I'll teach you something. And this week it's about the thought-feeling connection. It's about the 3 systems, 3 domains. Can you remember what the 3 domains are?
Thoughts and feelings.
And
I remember the one.
behaviours, what you do.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And there's those 3 aspects in any problem that you come across. So each week I'll give you some reading to do. I'll give you away some reading materials to reinforce what we've been talking about. So because you won't remember everything that's been said in therapy. So I'll give you reading materials to read about it.
I get fed up reading quite quickly. I get fed up reading.
They're not lengthy things. It's 1 page mostly.
Okay, that's right. I'll do that.
And I ask you to practice it in some way. You'll have something to practice. So this week, all I want you to do is make a connection between your thoughts and feelings. So I want you to think every time you feel anxious or irritable or angry, I want you to write down what the situation is, what you're feeling, and what thoughts would explain why you're feeling that way. Because if you're going to do well at CBT, the outcome is you become your own therapist. You learn how to do CBT for yourself. And it's something that I'll teach you how to do it. And you'll use what you learn in session. And gradually over the time, you'll take charge of the sessions and you'll understand what you have to do and why you have to do it and be working on it. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in doing?
Yeah. I mean, I need to do something because it's just.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've had
my head all the time.
This problem isn't just about your boss. There's issues that we identified. One issue about people being treated disrespectfully pushes your buttons. And we'll look for other things that do the same. And we'll work it out. Because CBT is about working out how did I get here? How did I get screwed up like this? How did I get these problems develop? What caused them to develop? And that looks at your past and the wee roles that you have in your head. Because if you're feeling angry at somebody, for example, you're assuming they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Anger is about rules. They're breaking the rules. They're not treating me respectfully. They're not doing the job the way I think they should be doing the job.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. So we'll look into that and we'll look at how you got to where you are, what's caused that. Then we look at what's maintaining it, what's keeping this problem going, and what I have to do to resolve this, to solve it and come out the other end of it a happier, more confident person. So if you get any questions about that?
No, I can't make no, nothing.
Is there anything we haven't spoken about that you think I should know about or that you want to deal with in therapy?
No, not at the moment. No.
Okay,
Just,
so
yeah.
sorry, what were you going to say?
No, just dealing with this. Just feeling really uptight all the time and not sleeping and wanting to hit people like him.
Well, I've made notes on that we need to deal with your sleep as a problem.
Aye.
As well as deal with the problems that you're talking about your getting your buttons pushed with this and the anxiety, the panicky feelings you get.
Yeah.
So the way it works is the next 3 weeks I'll teach you everything you need to know about CBT to understand it. So I said it's in 3 domains. I do a wee session teaching you about thoughts next week.
Okay.
And identifying unhelpful thoughts and trying to get your thinking accurate, balanced and helpful. Then the following week we look at your emotions, and we'll look at sleep as part of that. We'll look at the way you feel physically and how to control that, how to manage it, how to lower your tension and it's adrenaline in your system. I don't know if you've heard of fight or flight.
Yeah. Talk about it all the time with the adventure activity stuff I do.
So that'll be stand you in good stead then. We'll teach you how to lower your adrenaline, how to manage and tolerate that. And then we'll have a behavioural session that teaches you about avoidance and safety behaviours and things like that. You'll learn about that. Then once you've learned the CBT, we have a session on what we call formulation. And that means fitting you into the model and checking that we've covered everything that you want to cover. And then that's at the point where we get a plan of exactly what we're going to do and how CBT is going to help you. So it's quite a structured process, there's a lot of learning in it for you. But you come out at the end of this hopefully confident and able to deal with your problems in a rational, helpful way that's not going to cause you problems and have to leave jobs that you actually quite like. And every time somebody pushes your buttons, you either get into a fight with them or leave.
Yeah.
So does that seem like something you'll be happy to?
Yeah, seems alright. Yeah, just fine.
So I'll give you this sheet to read. It just reminds you of the thought-feeling connection and what's going on. And I'll give you this worksheet that has got, like I said, the situation you're in when your problem arises this week, when you feel what the feeling is you're feeling and what thoughts. So I just want you to make that connection. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? So when you're feeling anxious or irritable, say, why am I feeling anxious? If it's anxiety, we know you're imagining something bad's going to happen. So what am I thinking? If it's anger, somebody's breaking the rules, somebody's doing something that I feel they shouldn't be doing. So try and make that connection and think about what thoughts connect to it. And we'll use that next week when we come to do the thoughts. We'll be looking at what sort of thoughts get in the way and cause you problems during the week.
Right.
So, any questions before we finish up then?
I think that's fine. Makes sense.
Okay. I'll see you the same time next week then.
See you next Monday.